Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. This is Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. We're not really concerned with this city, but these are some awfully pretty views, aren't they? I'm going to be doing some watercolor sketches of these. At least some of them. Maybe not all of them. But as the music might be cluing you in here, I'm going to be talking about China. And I'm going to be talking about the fact that I was crooning about my opinion of China in 2016, in January of 2016. Thank you very much. 3.5 years ago.
Said, also brush up on my opinion of China from June 2008. Clear way back before this economic downturn, before we knew that it was, well, before everybody knew that it was a virtual disaster. I mean, they don't, 60% of their baby food is purchased from out of the country because they don't trust stuff grown in their own country, and the fake meat and fake eggs that are sold to the people, and wow, I mean, it's just a disaster. So that's what happens when you have an economy that's very productive and a press that's not free.
Alright, there was my opinion nearly 4 years ago, 3 years and 8 months ago, and I was crooning about the fact that I was right about my predictions about China back in 2008. Well, today I've got Keith Weiner on a hobby horse of, I don't know what is he defending China? I don't know. He's got this statement here which it could be from me. I'm sure other people are saying it. We don't need China. Their stuff is crap. It's just filling landfills. We can make better here. Yeah, that sounds actually like something I recently said in a video, Keith. Why didn't you give proper attribution? But that's fine. I don't care. It could be anybody else who's saying that, because everybody's saying it, because China makes junk. Okay? Now, some discussion went on down here, and he says, one of the guys says, Mr. Cropper, some of the things they make in China are good, because made in China doesn't necessarily mean made in China. It means assembled in China sometimes, and the stuff might be made somewhere else. Not only that, there are some things that are made in China, but they are designed elsewhere, and they are under very strict quality controls. Some factories, some plants. So there are a few things that are made in China that actually work, he says, proving my point that things that are made in China by Chinese in the Chinese way don't work. Keith mentions the computer I'm on, and maybe I'll do a video sometime and show you guys the chips. I got this computer and I got the chips, and the chip that was screwing the computer up was made in China, and I bought new chips, and when I opened the box I was praying as I took them out of the box, and I took them out of the box and it said made in Taiwan. I said, oh, thank God. So I went and put it in the computer and everything's fine. I'm currently using that computer to speak to you. Chinese stuff is garbage. He says communist, therefore all products are shit. Yes, Keith, that's true. People buy their products and then they throw them away, actually. Therefore, capitalist exploitation theory. I don't get that, Keith. You're going to have to go over that a little more carefully for me there. Doesn't follow. Now, communists are incompetent. They can't make things. That's true. People buy those things. Chinese goods and landfills full of junk. That's true. That's what happens when we buy those things. So I post down here 4 videos from ADV China. Now, when I started on this little rampage against China, some of you, including Jim Woods, in fact, sent me ADV advice. ADV China. Mr. Cropper, check this out. China's not communist. And one of ADV's videos is that China's not communist. That's actually one of their videos. Now, there's this new set of gas stations in China that's going up. And let's join their video here for just a second. You can see what conditions are like in this brave new world in China that they've got over here.
Just whatever you do, don't go into the bathrooms.
Let's take a look at this truck stop. Oh, God, this is gross.
Mr. Cropper, you're not posting a video of Chinese toilets as evidence that they aren't living in a brave new world, are you? You judge for yourself. Chinese knockoffs that can kill you is the video that little tidbit was in, where they talk about pills, medicine, this sort of thing that can kill you. Alright? And I had their page open. Here it is. This is ADV China's page. And on here they have videos about all manner of things in China. They've gotten more brave since they left China. While they were there, they didn't really dare talk about everything. China's cry-bully tactics, the housing bubble, the reason China will beat America. Yeah, watch that one. That's not true, is it? And go ahead and watch that video. Please do. Pause this one right now and go watch that one, and then you'll come back and you'll agree with me even more. China's Belt and Road. The mass exodus of foreigners from China. We were poisoned in China. You get diarrhea all the time if you eat Chinese street food. Nothing's safe there. Unless you live there, then I'm sure you're used to it. Is what we do illegal in China? We don't know. That's the answer that they give in that video, or at the end of it, or in the... They don't really give an answer, but the answer is they're not sure if it's illegal or not. But they're very careful about it, and they use screen software to protect themselves. It's definitely not a free country in any sense of the term. If you think that they're free economically, then you need to come watch some of these videos. They are not free economically. One of the videos, I'm trying to get them to load more here, but I apparently have too many tabs open and I'm bothering my internet. One of their videos is that China does not have laws. Oh, do I have it open here? China doesn't have laws, ladies and gentlemen. It is a nation of thuggery. It is a nation of gangsterism. It is a nation of fly-by-night factories and produced by bribe, and the government comes and confiscates and shuts things down on a whim. Okay, here's another video. Huawei's failure. Quality control in China is a crapshoot. And they talk about the fact that you can buy something in China and you go on the internet, put a video up and say, look, this piece of crap I bought, and you'll get all these comments from Americans saying, I bought the same thing, mine's made in China, mine works fine, you're just, you're an idiot or whatever. And that's when he started to realize, and then he knew a guy who worked in one of the factories in China that made goods, and the guy told him it's true that for the Chinese domestic market, absolutely anything will do. If you run out of infrared sensors in a phone, you just get some knockoff plastic part that's shaped the same and put it in there. And then the infrared sensor doesn't work in that phone. And just, they don't care. Nobody cares. And you expect it. Everybody expects that everything in China doesn't work and it's all garbage. And the stuff they ship to America, they have to account for. Right? They have to be held accountable for that. Some of it. I mean, you can buy stuff directly from the factory in China, and if you do that, good luck. You'll get paint that's moldy, and you'll get batteries that never charge, batteries that don't even have the wiring soldered together. You open it up and the wiring isn't even soldered to the electronics inside. That's the kind of garbage you get if you purchase directly from the factory in China. Unless it's a Hot Wheel or a cheap little toy, you can expect it to be a knockoff piece of garbage. So he talks in this video about how a drone that you purchase in China and a drone you purchase in America are going to have two totally different levels of quality control. And that's the only reason you're ever going to get anything competently made from China, is because there's some American or some American trained manager standing there holding the people accountable who ship those goods. And those are only goods that are very frequently only assembled in China. They don't actually produce the parts. The parts all arrive in China, competently assembled in other places like India, Japan, Indonesia, Taiwan. Send them to China and they get put together there, along with knockoffs that the Chinese hurriedly manufacture and slip in and inflate the number of phones they can make with their materials. And it's garbage. It's garbage. Don't take my word for it. Go and watch these guys and go watch this video. Okay, so let's say you live in China. Must be a great place to live, right? Robert Garmong. Someone send this along to Robert Garmong. He's in China. He probably can't watch it, right? But he's on YouTube. He's on Facebook anyway. Well, what would you do if you lived in China? What if you were one of these white guys from, well, he's from South Africa, from the Western world, and you go to China and you want safe baby food, or you want a bag of Doritos, or you want a 6-pack of beer that's not going to give you food poisoning. You know, they show on one of these videos, they show them canning Budweiser beer, made in America Budweiser beer, canning it in a little shop in China. And you know, it's got to be done under sterile conditions. If you put stuff into cans and seal the can and it's not sterile, that's just going to be a festering, dangerous, possibly deadly thing. But there they are, dipping these cans of Budweiser into a plastic tub of watery looking beer, some sort of substance, may or may not even have real alcohol in it, and pressing the tops on just at room temperature. Oh my God, it's terrifying. So you would go to one of these grocery stores if you lived in China, and you would pay the same or more than you would pay in any given grocery store in the United States. Not less, but the same or more. For example, they mention Doritos. They show Doritos, small bag of Doritos, that we would pay 99 cents for in most grocery stores, or you might pay $1.49 for it at a gas station or something like that. I'm not going to play their whole video here, but they mention these Doritos, and it's $5 for this bag that you and I'd pay 99 cents for in America, or $1.49 at a gas station. $5 in China for that tiny, tiny bag. Why would you go there and pay that kind of money? Well, for one reason, there's nothing else to spend your money on in China. It's just like in Soviet Russia. People are sitting on massive piles of savings because there's nothing to buy. And when you do buy something, it's junk. So people know you just don't buy it. Just get along without it. Now, you guys have definitely got friends that have these phones that reboot and the screen goes bad and all this crap on them. Every time I see somebody, a friend, a coworker, somebody who has a crap phone that they have to reboot, or there's a pixel gone wrong in the screen or something, I say to them snidely, I say, "Oh, not an iPhone, huh?" And what's terrible is the iPhones are now manufactured in China. Mr. Cropper has an iPhone, let me just look here, assembled in China, but this is from back in the day when they weren't actually making them in China. Actually says assembled. Now they are actually making a lot of the stuff in China, but my iPhone is from so long ago that it still works. And I know that the newer ones don't work because my wife, oh, there we go, see, I plugged in the iPhone. I've got my original iPhone. My wife's gone through 3 since I got this one. And I've still got this one, and she had problems with this, and there's ads loading, and there's bloatware on it, and all this stuff. I don't have those problems on this original one. Yeah, I'm a true old grumpy guy. It's true. Alright, so where the top 1% of Chinese people buy their groceries is in grocery outlets that are selling American stuff. Just regular stuff. So you go to China, you think you're going to live better than you do in America because it's a cheaper country? No. You're going to spend more than you would for the same stuff in America. Just to live on par with Americans will cost you more in China. Okay, I'm just trying to drive home this point. In China, here's this video you should watch. Their no solution, don't care culture. You can walk up to someone selling stuff on the street in China and ask them if they have something, which they clearly do have. And their immediate response is, I don't know, I don't care. No solution. Nothing can be done. That's a rough translation. Nothing can be done about it. You go up and you say, I'm looking for this particular shape of fan belt for my car. And they say, nothing can be done. So then you look through their stuff, and there it is. There's the one you need. You pick it up, you say, how much for this? They say 5 yen, or whatever. You know, 5, what is it? I don't even know the name of their, damn, I say yen. They just have this attitude. Don't know, don't care. Shut up. Leave me alone. I'm not going to be responsible for anything. Don't ask me to think. Don't ask me to be a responsible person. Don't ask me to respond to you in a responsible way. Just leave me alone. Shut up and leave me alone. That's a culture in China. Oh my God, before I forget of it, let me also mention something they mentioned in one of their other videos. You can be walking with your... It's one of the videos one of them did with his wife. You can be walking with your child in the park, and somebody will befriend your child and get to know them, to know their name and their age, and then all of a sudden they start screaming, this person's trying to kidnap my child. My child's name is, Susan, and she's 3 years old, and look, they're trying to kidnap my child. And then you get surrounded by a big group of angry people, and they start beating you up, and bam, your child's kidnapped and you never see him again. That's the kind of thing that happens in China. Actually does happen. If you're out in the countryside, there's no law and order. There are no police officers. It's anarchy. If you're in the city, the police are not there to protect you. They are there to protect the state. For example, there are street vendors who absolutely invade the street. There's stalls and there are seats and tables right out in the street. You can't even get up and down the street sometimes. And so once in a while, when a government official's visiting the street, the cops come through with a dump truck and they just confiscate everything. And if you protest, or even if you don't protest, they will beat the hell out of you. They'll kick you in the face, and they might even arrest you. And they just throw all your stuff in the back of a dump truck, and it's gone. And there's a law against it, but they don't enforce the law unless they do. That's in the city. But in the countryside, there's no law at all. There is actual roadway banditry. It's dangerous to travel from one city to the next in China. Okay, no solution, don't care culture. That's an interesting video. The dangers of buying a Chinese smartphone. He goes over the fact that it might be completely incompatible with your stuff when you move to your country. And not only that, what you think might be a reliable smartphone, if it's produced for the Chinese market, could be completely and utter garbage. So if you buy a smartphone made in China overseas, that will at least have gone through some level of corporate control. They will have checked the phone to make sure it works before they put it in the box, because they don't want lines of people returning phones in America. So they have some modicum of quality control for units that are shipped to America. And that doesn't even work, does it, ladies and gentlemen? You and I all know about the quality of the phones that make it here from China, and the garbage that, almost every single one of those phones had to be replaced during that scandal a couple of years ago with, I don't remember, one of these Android phones or whatever. funny. He says here, they're cheap and the quality is great, but there are a few things you need to know. And then he goes over. Now, the reason he says that is to stop himself from being utterly destroyed by the spammers who absolutely hate everything he says. The quality is great. That's a little bit strange for him to say in a video where he goes over the fact that the quality is such garbage. Things you can do in China that you can't do in America. For one thing, you can get drunk young. They don't care. That law is enforced. There's a modicum of a law somewhere, but it's not really enforced. Let's listen to what he has to say here.
However, if you criticize Chinese culture, or their government, or just China in general as a nation, don't think for a second that you're going to be safe. They tend to get pretty butthurt when you criticize their country.
They are like the left in the United States. Now, this is a point that I've made and that I'll be harping on more. The left in the United States today is not so much one group of people who disagree with another group of people. The left in the United States today, the left in the world as such, this is true in China too, the left is a group of people... Oh, come on. The left is a group of people who make... Oh, come on. The left is a group of people who make constant noise threatening people. And some people cow down to it. That's the left. Aggressive thugs going around threatening people, and the people who cow down to them. That's the left. The right is everybody else, the ones who are trying to defend themselves, live their life, stand up for themselves. Okay? Try to get that into your head as the left and the right. The left are aggressive thugs and the people who cow down to them. The right is everyone who's trying to go about the world and live their own lives. Is China a free country? Please, ladies and gentlemen, go to ADV China and watch this video. I won't just go through and do all of your viewing for you because that would be rude. Now, what's Stefan Molyneux up to? What you doing over there, Steph Bot? You had 5 videos up about the Epstein case the other day. Are you just mongering for views? That's alright. Have at it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, there's me harping on China. Why China is better than the US. That's why they moved back to the United States. They both, well, the guy from South Africa moved to the United States. Interestingly, I think his name's Winton. There's Winton and Seamilk. Well, I think it's very sad the way that he has left South Africa. Can we get a screenshot of either of them? Not him, but the other one. He has left South Africa because he'll be killed if he's in South Africa. And his parents and grandparents tried to make a life in South Africa. And that's all gone. That's all being erased. And he goes to China? Wow. I mean, you know, how homeless can a person be? See, America truly is the home of the free and the brave. It really is where the free and the brave have to come to live. If you're in Canada, you got to start saving your money and get your way down here. Okay? Home of the free and the brave. Every place else is a disaster, including fascist hag China. Robert Garmong, what are you doing? You're on Brook. Where does he live? Puerto Rico? See, that's still within the power of the United States of America. So that's not so bad. But Robert Garmong, what are you doing in China? Are you insane? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that's all we have to say. Mr. Cropper out.